my dog died, and my damn horse died.
Oh,
What's
jeez.
wrong?
No.
I hate that when that happens.
No.
It's a concept album.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Hey, you know what you get when you cross a country song with a rap song?
What?
Crap.
Uh,
You know what
Yeah.
you get when you play a country song backwards? You get your dog back, you get your wife back, and you get your job back. Those are the jokes, folks.
oh, see, he forgot to say these are known as jokes.
That's good.
Hey everybody, Kirk here with another episode of So That Happened, Stories from the Sacramento 80s Music Scene. And I'm here today with Mr. Gene Thorpe and
Hey.
Mr. Larry Gosch. Talk about OG.
I drive through the Del Webb stuff. Up at the top of the hill, there's a Rossi Lane.
Yes, I do know that. That is great. So let me ask you, you got that thing running
I
yet?
got it run. I always have things running because you never know what you're going to
Okay. So how did you ever get to the Vox room? How did Dick hire you?
Oh, God.
Did you used to go in there when you had the band?
Yeah, when it was on El Camino,
Yes.
I was going to Davis. And there wasn't a really music store in Davis, so I would come in there and, you know, get strings and stuff. And that was when Bob Lemontia
Yeah, Lemontia.
was there, and we kind of, you know, he was my guy when I'd go to the Vox room, and I
Right.
bought a few things and this and that. And then when he moved, you know, to Bell and El Camino, he actually hired me to build some stuff in there. You remember
Oh,
that?
nice.
Remember that big drums?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I built that, and I made some speaker cabinets and sold them to him.
Wow.
Gosh boxes.
Wow.
I got a logo
I have another
made.
question for you. This even goes back further. How did you ever start playing music?
Oh, I played trumpet when I was in the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And my dad was big band, you know, at my house. And so I played trumpet, and apparently I have a pretty good ear for music. Didn't know that. I tried out for the chorus in the sixth grade, and they wouldn't let me in because they said I couldn't sing.
No Gosh allowed.
No, that's right. And
They
then,
25 to you.
and then I was in. I liked the Ventures and stuff like that. Surf guitar. My first guitar was my mom bought it at Cost Plus. Remember Cost Plus?
Yes, I do.
And you know, it was this little shitty nylon string guitar, and I played it for a while, and then I refinished it and sold it to the kid next door.
Nice. So you were selling guitars just about the time you started playing them, huh?
I guess.
That's
yeah.
pretty interesting.
You were flipping guitars.
Well, I didn't know any better, you know, and I was, I was always the kid that took stuff apart.
You and Waylon both.
I got my guitar plugged into our DeMont television.
Do you remember your first song you ever learned?
Yeah, it was Walk Right In. That was the first one
Yeah,
where I actually learned how to play it.
That's pretty
I
cool.
think mine was Walk Don't Run.
Well, that was way over my head at that point.
Well, I had a kid down the street, and I'd give him $5 from mowing the yard, and he'd show me bar chords. I had a Mel Bay guitar book,
Yeah.
and learn all that, and then I had how to play guitar with the Ventures.
I actually have that album
I did too. That's how
signed by them.
Whoa.
We opened for them once at Oasis Ballroom.
I'm not worthy.
Got to drink Jack Daniels with the Ventures in their Winnebago.
God, okay, we're done. There's nothing you can do to top that.
Yeah, and I had that record and I signed it, and they said, "To Larry, thanks for playing with us."
I had that, and I had a Bird's Greatest Hits, and that's how I learned to play and sing.
Oh, wow. Oh, how old are you?
70.
Oh, so you're just a kid.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
So you're like 5 years behind me.
In the woods.
The Beatles hadn't hit yet when I started doing that.
So I was born in '55.
Yeah.
Speaking of being a kid, I was telling Gene, I lived just 3 blocks away from the Vox room, and I walked there every single day, either after school. and I just sit there and I'd watch you play and go, one of these days I'm going to be as good. I don't think I ever will be, but
Well, you were a drummer.
I'm a guitar player too. But I sat there and I think you guys, all the people that were at the box room, Gene and Larry, and you set a generation in motion, because you were the guys that sold the equipment to the bands. The people that were starting bands, people forming bands. I know my first drum set was bought at the box room. My first guitar was bought at the box room. You sold it to me, a Crown Les Paul.
Oh yeah, remember those?
Yeah, I do.
You
And
sold me my
I remember that guitar.
you sold me my Honda.
Yeah, but you had a Washburn
I had
Eagle.
that Washburn that I
yeah,
was talking
that was
about.
the one you used
The
to
one with all
record
the
with.
brass hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I traded it in. I can't remember. I didn't go home with it, but I got the Honda because Greg Dowdy hung out at the box room. I said, "Okay, I don't have a lot of money, but I need a new guitar." And he goes, "Okay, we're going to the box room." And then you said, "I got the thing." You sold me that Honda, and to this day, it's one of the best guitars I ever played.
Yeah, those Honda.
And when we did those demos at your house, when you produced our demos, people listened. And this year, because I put them on YouTube, and people would listen to it, and they get in touch with me and say, "How'd you get that guitar sound? That's the coolest thing I ever heard." I said, "Larry Gosch sold me a Honda, and Greg Dowdy did something with the pickups, or shielded it or something. I don't know what he did. And all of a sudden, it had this roaring guitar sound, and we became the band that was known for cheap guitars. Go see this band; they all play cheap guitars.
Yeah, those Hondos were they were always on a search for decent guitars that were shitty. You know, the Hondos and the Crowns. The Crowns weren't bad.
I thought the Crowns were pretty good. I thought the Crown acoustics were really good.
Yeah.
Well, Gene was showing us some of the old box room
Ads.
advertising, and there was a Fender Stratocaster that was only $100 more than the Honda
Yeah.
Strat.
But we weren't a Fender dealer, so the Dick Rossi was, you know, getting stuff wherever he could. And then after a while, I think it was after you met Sherry, he got Fender and Gibson and Guild, and so we started to get decent stuff.
The one reason why we sold so many guitars to the real professional musicians is because Dick would give them credit. And they'd have never gotten the credit if it wasn't for Dick giving them credit. And Larry and I both, probably, and even Tony, probably didn't want to give them the credit. We'd go to Dick and he'd say, give it to him. I trust him.
Yeah, that's right.
He was more trusting than we were.
Well, and you know, even more than that, he
Cared about him.
Well, yeah, he cared about us. He turned me from being an arrogant little shithead to being a not as arrogant, older shithead. Yeah, he was a good guy.
He made us.
Quantum leap.
He made us read books. He made us do
yeah.
presentations in front of him. You know, we'd have to demo amps.
Books?
Yeah, read books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was
Books?
sales books. Yeah.
He sent me to
Schools and seminars all the time.
I figured it out between him and Skip, more Dick than Skip, but I've been to 27 1 or 2 day sales seminars.
Yep.
Jeez, no wonder you were so good. No wonder you were able to get me to buy that Honda.
I don't think it was that. I don't think any of that shit matters.
You're
I
a
think
natural salesperson anyway.
No, I think it was more like I just really dug guitars and I didn't want to bullshit you.
Well, you were into your product. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus you were a good player, and people like Kirk would go in and hear you play and go, "Okay, I want to buy the guitars."
Yeah.
That's really kind of how it started. I think was because that when I saw how well you could play, and if I got on that equipment, could I play that good?
Yeah.
And I think that obviously that's a young kid's mentality, but showing your ability on the equipment that you had in the store made all the difference in the world, because it made you want to buy.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You're not the only person that's told me that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember it being like that.
Well, the one thing about you is that you always continually tried to learn different finger picking and slide and stuff like that. You kept on growing as a guitar player.
Well, you know who did that though? It was Bob Lamantia. He sold me a pedal steel.
Yes.
And when you're on the road in Great Falls, Montana, staying at the airport motor court, You got to put your steel up in your room for something to do during the day.
So you learn to play. You got
A little
downtime.
bit, yeah.
So, Gene, we talked a little bit earlier, and I just wanted to get your take on this iconic moment for a friend of mine. We talked about Paul. Talk about the time that one of my friends came in to buy a guitar, and you talked
Yeah,
about
and Paul, the reason why I didn't get it at first, because his middle name is Stanley, right?
right.
Paul Stanley. So, yeah, and he came in to buy a Gibson guitar, or big Gibson bass. He was going to buy one. And there was a jazz bass that we just got. And I said, no, you know, that Gibson bass will come and go. I don't know what it was, what do you call them, a grabber or something like that. And there was a jazz bass, and I guess he still has it. But and I don't blame him. But you know, a Fender Jazz is way better than a Gibson grabber.
yeah.
in my
He
opinion.
told you, he says, I don't want that guitar. It looks like something Danny Partridge would play. But and I'll probably within this episode, I'm going to show probably right now
Yep.
a picture of what the bass looks like being held together by sweat and duct tape.
Rick Danko had one of those, though.
Yeah,
he brought it in for Gary Cooper
yeah,
to fix.
He played good.
I mean,
Well, anyway,
the good
tell
old
Paul
boss.
Stanley I said hi, and I'm glad
What's
that
Paul's
he's
last name?
McClevich.
McClevich. See, I would have. I didn't. I don't think I've ever pronounced his last name.
Kurt played in bands with him.
Yeah. Well, played in the
Oh, and
band.
how old are you?
Go Dog Go, and what's that?
How old are you?
I'm 62. Dude, I was
Children.
watching you play when I was in 7th grade.
Wow.
You sold me my first guitar when I was in 8th grade.
I think you're making too big of a deal out of that. You know, I
hope
just
so.
happened to work in the music store that was down the street from you.
Exactly. I hope so. But what you need to know is that the whole reason why I'm doing this is because it's a journey for me to go back to remembering the things that meant a lot to me, but to pull the stories out of people like you and Gene as to what it was like for you. So I'm just telling you what it meant for me, for you guys to sell us our first instruments. But what was it like for you during that time and in your budding musical career?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I just got off the road, and I know just a couple of years before I got off the road, he got off the road.
After.
And we were always in the same circuit. So wherever I would go, I would see a picture of him, and he'd see pictures of us. And then when we hung out in the music store, I think we smoked a lot of cigarettes. Cherrytons, I think, were his brand. And I was bumming them from him all the time. But we'd see the kids come in, and we'd want to help them, and we would want to sell stuff because we want to help do what we're supposed to do for Dick. And we all had our own department. I was in the PA department. Were you the guitar department?
I must have been.
And then Dick made him be the manager. And yeah, it was a really beautiful experience to be in
It
that.
was the Peter principle.
Sounds
Yeah,
very
really
organic.
good. It was really good.
And then unfortunately, the box room closes. Talk a little bit about how that all came about. You guys went on to work for Skip. Let's talk about that. But how did the box room unfortunately meet its end?
Well, I'm going to just talk a little bit about Skip. See, Skip, you know, was a musician around Sacramento since about 63, 64. And so I played in this band called the Creators, and that became the Simultaneous Avalanche. We went on the road, and Skip stayed. He didn't stay in the Creators or the Simultaneous Avalanche. He wanted to have a music store, and he was working for a guy that was a rep. What was his name?
Dick?
I don't know. I can see him. He was a nice guy.
Yeah.
But Skip didn't stay working for him because Skip had a lot of ambition and he started his own store. But anyway, so Skip did everything right. And I think the main thing that Skip did that Dick didn't do, Dick wasn't a brand guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Dick would buy Crown because he could get a whole boatload of them for a real low price. But Skip got Fender, PV. I think PV was
He was the first PV guy.
Yeah, first PV dealer, and that made him because PV was such a good brand. And so Larry and I and Tony, we were working in the Vox room, and Skip had all the good brands, and we had I would say we were better salespeople than Skip's salespeople, and we
No, we were a lot better.
a lot better.
Well, that's where we went, and that's where everybody we knew went. They went to the box room.
Yeah.
So
I knew
yeah,
about Skips, but I wasn't in Skips.
so what happened was Skip got me, and he said, you know, well, Tom Dietz is leaving, and
Dietz.
and so can you come up? Would you come over?
Right.
I talked to Dick. Dick and me, you know, we'd known each other for many years, and he said, yeah, do it. You should do it. I did it, and then I don't know. Did you come over next?
Yeah, I came before Tony.
And then Tony came, and but by that time, you know, Skip never really was a front man, you know, like he's a front man, I'm a front man, Tony's a front man kind of thing. And when that happened, Skip's, I think, became pretty vibrant. And yeah, and it was good. And
Yeah.
Dick was kind of getting ready to retire anyway.
Dick had owned a piano store, and they sold Thomas organs. And Thomas Organ was the American distributor of Vox amplifiers. And so
Okay.
Dick had this piano store in South Sac, and he had this little tiny room about this big that he put the Vox amps in. And then 1964, that just took off. So
Yeah.
that became,
The Who were playing them, the Beatles were playing them.
let me think, the Yankees won the series.
Yeah, that was it. Yep.
And so, but the thing was, Skip was a musician, and he was more or less into the stuff. And Dick Rossi didn't know one note from another. And I mean, Dick Rossi could sell you this for $50, and you'd be glad you paid it. I mean, that dude could sell refrigerators to Eskimos.
So when he worked for this guy, Dick worked for a guy named Tony Schrillo, and Dick could play da 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 take me home, you know, and he'd sell these organs, and he'd sell so many of them, Hammonds, Thomases, all that, and so pretty soon he had his own organ store. Wow. And yeah, and see, Thomas Organ was the crappy maker of the transistorized Vox amps. When Dick first got them, they were tube amps, and they were, you know, importing them, and then they became Thomas Organ's amps.
And the most important thing was they said Vox on them. That's
Yeah.
it. You still have that Super Beetle?
No, I do not.
Finally not?
Nope. We were going up this elevator, the NAMM show, and Larry and I we'd been drinking a little Seagram 7 and Sherry, my wife, and in walks, what was his name?
Jim Messina.
Jim Messina. And Larry's carrying a hubcap. And Jim Messina.
He found the hubcap
Jim
on our way
Messina
to the...
thinks he's going to get killed, you know, because there's these muggers. And then Larry says, well, you remember when you were playing at Hughes Stadium?
Yeah.
You want to tell that story? Rod Stewart might kick your ass.
Loggins and Messina, Peter Frampton, and Rod Stewart played at Hughes Stadium. It was this big show, and Candy Radio. Remember Gene Lane?
Yeah.
Gene wangled me 2 backstage passes. So of course what I did was go in, come back out, give one of the passes to somebody else, then they could come back in. It would, by the time it was done, it was probably 10 or 15 people. And anyway, so back behind the stage, there was this big pen of white balloons.
1 million white balloons.
Yeah, helium balloons. And I was I was the biggest Loggins and Messina freak in the world. And I'm talking to Kenny Loggins, and I'm looking at this pen, and I said, how come you guys don't do stuff like that? And he goes, oh man, that shit's pretentious. We don't do anything like that. We just want to play music. And he said, I'll give you $100 if you release it while we're playing. I said, no, I can't do that. No, that would be wrong.
They were Rod Stewart's balloons.
Yeah, there were Rod Stewart's balloons. And then
Boy, was he pissed.
so I got to carry the beer up on stage. I got to watch that concert from on stage. And anyway,
awesome.
about almost towards the end of Loggins and Messina said, I thought, well, I wonder how I could do it. And I figured out how I could do it. And so I went down there and I was burning the cord that held the whole thing in. And just at that point, the guy from Fox Advertising, was that it? Anyway, whoever it was, drives up and he goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're messing with my balloons. I said, oh man, they told me to. And then I just kind of backed off and went into Loggins and Messina's trailer. and he let them all off. And so they all went off during Loggins and Messina's set, at which time the Rod Stewart's road manager comes up and just starts beating on this poor guy. What are you doing? You know, and I'm in their trailer looking out the window at him. And Kenny Loggins comes in and said, "Did you do that?" And I said, "Yeah." And he gave me a $100 bill and a T-shirt.
Wow,
I bought drugs with it.
Of course.
Yeah.
that's rock and roll.
Yeah,
What did
that's,
you do with $100?
he don't know.
I said.
Was that with Rutabaga?
Yeah, I was in Rutabaga at the time.
But that was his own deal. That was Larry Gosch's own brain working on, you know. But I have another question for you. And what it is when did you find out you had such a high voice? How did you do that? Were you learning all the songs and you found out you could sing everything?
When I was in high school,
See, he knows every harmony of every Beatles song.
when I was in high school,
And every mistake,
Let's love you.
every
Oh, yeah.
mistake they
We
ever
sound
made.
good together.
Yeah, they can sing good.
I sing Beatles songs with Steve a lot too.
yeah, we always had singers. When I got into my first band in high school, I was a freshman, and none of us thought we could sing. You know, when you play guitar, you're kind of standing behind the guitar,
Right.
but when you sing, man, it's you right there. And we had this singer, and he moved away or something, and so we had a gig, and so, well, okay, I'll do it. And then, you know, just like you, I'm sure after, you know, you got to do it for a couple of years before you realize you can get good at it.
Well, what happened to me, which is probably similar to that, was my guy, I was in this band, I was a drummer, but then I did want to sing. And so I started being a frontman singer. And then the rhythm guitar player went to Vietnam. And the guys in the band said, well, we can split the money 4 ways instead of 5 ways if you'll play the guitar. So the lead guitar player taught me how to play the guitar. And I was singing, and there I
What was
was.
that?
The Randy Ripple. Do you ever remember Randy
I
Ripple?
don't think I remember him.
Well, he moved back east years and years ago, but when he was like 12 years old, he was like very, very good. Not as good as you, though.
I was lucky because the guys I played with in high school could all sing and could all sing harmony. So we did all kinds of those kinds of songs, you know.
The harmony songs.
Yeah. And now what I do, I'm dead serious about this. I have nothing to do, so I drive around. I drive down here almost every day just to drive around, and I listen to the Beatles channel and just sing harmony and sometimes try to make up a harmony that's not actually on the record, you know. So I think it's just a matter of doing it.
And singing harmonies is really fun. If you're a lead singer, the chance for somebody else in your band to take a lead and you get to do the harmonies, that's the most fun you have that night.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
well,
that's pretty good.
I sang on your stuff.
Yes, you did. We have photos, and they'll be in this episode. There's a photo of you, and we're at Heavenly.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
Oh.
And
yeah.
I'm singing in the microphone, and you are right
Wonder Rabbit.
singing into a microphone. There's another photo of you, Greg, and Steve Grace.
Yeah,
All 3 of you singing into a microphone
Yeah.
at Heavenly Recording Studios together.
Wow.
yeah.
That's great.
Steve Grace has the best voice of all of us. He sounds like Burton Cummings.
And he doesn't even try.
No.
But I think you have the best voice of all of us. Hey, one thing I want to say is when we were at the box room, and you know, you're talking about us selling stuff to guys your age, which were younger than our age. But Larry and me and Tony, most of our best clients were old. Like, remember Wayne Hedman? You know?
Yeah.
So, like, we had these, and what was that one guy's name? Like Murdoch, or he had a kid, and the kid, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
he
I
bought that
remember that
Gretsch.
guy,
He bought the Gretsch
yeah.
with the built-in stuff. But anyway, so we had all these old guys because Dick taught us, and we could talk to people, and we had all. That's how we made our money.
Yeah, and Skip appealed to the young musicians, the guys in rock and roll bands, and Dick got all the country guys.
Yeah, the country guys. That's
And
right. Yeah,
and
that's also because the store was right next to the Tiny Moore's store
that's right. And that burger place.
and the burger place.
You took lessons from Tiny Moore?
I did.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he's a great guy.
Tiny was cool.
3 bells.
Yeah,
That was the burger joint, Three Bells.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Because it was right across the street from the Catholic church.
Yes.
That had
Yep.
Three Bells.
That's right.
That's how they named it.
That's right.
And the guy that owned it was a crusty old fart.
Yeah,
and,
yep.
He used to be mad at us all the time for some reason.
Larry, who taught you how to play guitar?
Nobody.
Join the club.
Well, Hank Fernston. I got my first guitar. Actually, my very first guitar was a plastic Mickey Mouse 4-string guitar that had a crank
Plastic
in it.
strings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it played, I mean, it was this big, but it had a crank and it was like a music box and it played the Mickey Mouse theme. And I broke a string or something, so then I used fishing line, and then I tuned it into a chord, into an E chord, not knowing it. I mean, it just sounded right, you know. And then I got a real guitar. So anyway, my friend Hank Fernston and we both knew how to play an A chord and an E chord. He showed me the right way to play an A chord, and then we discovered, and you've heard this story about Paul McCartney, we discovered the B7.
Oh.
Because I knew A, E, and D, but
Yeah.
you do E, A, D, and it didn't sound right. And when I heard
Stuffies.
when I heard a B7, and it dawned on me that's 1-4-5. I didn't know that until years and years later, but it sounded right. It never occurred to me to play A, D, E. No, I learned them in the E, A, D order, so that's wrong.
That music store that he was talking about in South Sac was right around the corner from my parents' house. And, you know, it was Academy Organ and Piano Center.
Yeah.
And it had the box room in it, the little one. And there was a guy that was in there that worked for Dick, and his name was Carl Corbin. And he might have been, do you remember Carl Corbin? And he might have been from, you know, Atlanta, Georgia or whatever, because he had a southern accent. And he was a keyboard player. And he played at all the golf courses and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going in there. This is even before I ever worked for Dick. Probably 1963 was when I started going in there. And he showed me the first song that I ever learned that I really learned on a guitar is Georgia. And he showed it to me. And Carl Corbin played all these places. And he would say, well, you want to come and, you know, hang out when I play? And I would do it. He was a nice guy.
He would play old guy standards kind of
Things
stuff.
that ties all this kind of stuff together is that, see, Sacramento, you know, a lot of people didn't think Sacramento was cool. But see, if you go to LA, and I love LA, I lived in LA, I lived in San Francisco, but Sacramento was such a pleasant place to live. So that's why Jack Wills and the Texas Playboys came here and at Wills Point. That's why the Anson Weeks. Yep. Well, Jack. Yeah, Bob and Jack. Jack is the brother that was married to Dennis Verdew, who
See, I did not know that.
was my bass player in Ukulele. Yeah, Jack was his dad. So anyway, the thing is that all those big band guys, where they came, they didn't want to go live in LA and they didn't want to go live in San Francisco. They came in Sacramento, and they were able to be kind of autonomous and, you know, not have a good life. Here, you talk.
Valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Say something smart, Larry.
Well, actually, the other night I was watching the Nova. I'm a science geek about quantum mechanics.
Ooh.
Freaked me out. I mean, it took me 2.5 hours to watch the hour show because I kept going back, going, what is that? What does that mean?
I want to get back on.
Could we go back to the Vox room?
Yeah, no, I want to go now and talk specifically about Rutabaga. So,
Why?
talk about how Rutabaga started, what your biggest gigs were, what craziest story, whatever, and where's Rutabaga today?
Well, you know where one of them is.
Yeah.
He was Bill Horton's physical therapist.
Oh,
He-
wow.
He just sent me the X-ray
Oh,
with.
Okay, so it's okay. We can talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I actually heard from him. I had texted him for a long time. When at the Vox room, I answered a musician needed when it was on El Camino.
Yeah.
And it was Jubilee. And I had seen Jubilee in a bar in Davis when I was playing in this.
oh yeah, with Charlie. and Wayne Pauls and those guys.
Yeah, and John Davis
Yeah.
and Brett Harfum.
Yeah, Brett Hartman.
And
Yep.
I saw them and I thought, wow, these guys can sing. Because at that point, I hadn't been in a band that could actually sing good harmonies since I was in high school. And I thought, these guys are great. I'd love to be in a band like that. And then I stumbled out into the sidewalk outside, and out there was Bill Horton. That's where I met Bill Horton, on the sidewalk in front of a bar in Davis. And then, so anyway, so I answered this musician wanted thing for Jubilee, and they needed another guitar player and they needed another singer, and I could do that. So I joined them, played with them for, I don't know, 2.5 years. We went on.
Did you go back on the road?
Yeah, we went on the
Yeah.
road for 2 years.
And I saw some pictures of you and them when we were on the road.
Oh yeah, with my white suit and it. Oh
Yeah,
God.
and your long, beautiful hair.
And they, these guys wanted. The John Davis's brother-in-law had visioned himself as Brian Epstein. He wanted to promote this band, and there was some good songwriters and good singers, but they needed something more. So anyway, they were trying to promote this band Jubilee into something big. They had they got a recording contract from Mercury Records, one of the tax loss write-off recording contracts, and they had number 12 in Chico or something. And so anyway, they wanted me to play with them, but the guy, the backer, didn't want me to be in the band because he only wanted 4, because there was only 4 in the Beatles. So anyway, I played with them, and what they didn't have was somebody full of shit that could be the front guy. And of course, I just did it. They said, well, I guess you could be in the band. So anyway, we're on the road in Seattle.
Stumbling to stardom.
Yeah. And we're playing at the opening of a record store. Did you ever have Lynn Martin for your agent? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was the agent in Seattle, and he would get us all these gigs. And we were playing at the opening of a record store in Seattle, outdoors, and it was raining, and I'm wearing my white suit and my platform shoes. And I thought, no, this is not what I want to do. So I quit, and we were playing at the Gilded Cage. Do you remember the Gilded Cage? Anyway, so Bill Horton and Craig Mosley came in and saw us, and we started talking. I said, yeah, I'm quitting this. I'm not doing this anymore. And he said, well, we need a guitar player, because Kenny Garabian, who was...
Still Bruce.
Yeah, wrote their song. He had just quit, and so they needed another guitar player. And so we just hit it off. We were just buddies. And the first gig I played with them was on my birthday in 1964.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. No, 74, excuse me.
Okay.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I wasn't that good when I was 14. So Bill and I drank a 6-pack of Mickey's Big Mouths on the way to the gig at some high school in Cameron Park. What was the name of it? Anyway, and we just, we played, and that was it, and we just kept doing it. And when we first started out, we're Levi's and T-shirts and tennis shoes on stage, and not at all hip, but we were fun, and we were good at playing to people.
Very.
I think that's where a lot of bands miss out. They're just not good at playing.
I think your choice of songs was incredible.
Yeah, that was true.
Yeah.
Going to see Rutabaga Boogie Band you were the second band I ever saw when I moved to Sac. First was Charlie Peacock. And then
Yeah,
I saw Rutabaga Boogie Band. Steve Grace lived next door to me, Steve and Wendy. And they said, we're going to Bitter Creek Tavern. Russ Martinez is a friend. And our friend Larry Gosch has a band called the Rutabaga Boogie Band that everybody loves in Sacramento. And I went, and I was like, damn, these guys are great, and this is really fun, and I'm gonna keep coming. We got to know each other, and one night the features were brand new. You know, I don't even think we were barely gigging. You let us step up on stage and play like 3 songs.
Yeah.
And I think we headlined Bitter Creek the next week. And that happened because of your generosity. And I mentioned this to other bands, and they go, Larry did the same thing for us.
Well, we were just trying to play less hours.
Now, Larry did that for a lot of people.
We just, we had no pretense about ever getting big. One time we were playing with Barrel House, who they were great,
They were
good,
very,
really
very
good players.
Technically.
And they did a sort of an audition to play at the Fillmore, and Bill Graham was there.
Wow.
And he came up, and we put together a pretty good set. You know, when you only have to play for 45 minutes, you can be pretty good. And he came up to us. Bill Graham came up and said, "Hey, do you guys have any original material?" And Bill says, "No, man, we just like to play. We don't." He said, "Oh, too bad." So we missed out on that. We were just trying to drink for cheap and meet girls.
Exactly. That's what
The right reasons.
So we were scruffy. And
Oh, but
your people.
I gotta say, your drummer, David,
David
that was
Gray.
the greatest drummer.
He
man.
was the
He was the
best.
sweetest guy in the frickin' world. And I don't know.
Got his master's degree in mathematics.
Yeah.
Became and he was
He's a juggler.
early on computer
Yeah.
guy.
Good with his hands.
And he
Oh,
became the
good with
computer
everything.
specialist for the California State Department of Education. And he and the bass player, he and Craig, grew up across the street from each other, and they'd been playing together since they were in high school. And so it was like, 8 appendages and 1 brain.
And it was also like he was such a good drummer.
Yeah.
Beyond,
Oh, yeah.
like
God, he was
beyond
great.
anybody that came after.
I remember.
I mean, he was,
He would do drum solos, and people would not stop dancing.
no,
Yeah.
In fact, we played. Did you go to his memorial?
yeah.
We played a live drum solo of his at his memorial when we were walking his coffin out,
Wow.
and and that's where Russ came in, because we had been playing at Bitter Creek for a while, and Russ had actually wanted to be our drummer. He called me when
Martinez?
when Dave went back to graduate from college, he had to quit, and so we were trying to get another drummer, and Russ Martinez called and said, "Hey, I want to be your drummer," and I didn't know Russ, I didn't know anything about him, and I said, "Yeah, well, don't call us, we'll call you," and we got Bob Hudson, and so anyway, we'd play at Bitter Creek a lot because we were friends with Russ. And one time he said, "Hey, can I sit in with you guys?" So we put another drum set up on the stage, and he and Dave, who became really, really good friends, played together. And it was like, once again, 1 brain and 8 appendages. The 2 of them together were awesome. And I used to come, the studio in my house, which was soundproof, I'd come home during the day and they'd be out in the garage practicing, and Dave is looking at them, and he'd say, no, do this, do this, do this. And so they were really well rehearsed together.
So I got to tell you 2 stories about Bill Horton. I think he was about 14. I was at the box room. And see, back in the early days, before Larry, I was the guitar repairman.
Oh, yeah.
Are you laughing? Anyway, so did you ever see his 60 whatever Strat he had?
He still has it.
Yeah. Did you ever see it with the pick guard off?
Yes.
Ah, that was
I
me.
did see it.
Okay, so what I did, I took like a 63 Strat, and I think I might have done it right in front of Bill, and I took a chisel, because he wanted to put a humbucking in it.
Yeah.
So I chiseled that son of a bitch out, and soldered that pickup in there, crooked, and
Covered it up.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
covered
I
up the
destroyed an $80,000 guitar, and he
Yeah.
can never sell it now.
Without the pickguard on it, it looks like what the Grand Canyon looks like when you fly over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with an ice pick and a hammer.
Yeah.
Then the other story about Bill, he is like maybe 16 at this point. I'm up in South Lake Tahoe, and Rick Schultz had booked the Fun House, and he booked Sky Saxon.
Oh,
you can ask.
I played with him.
Yeah, and you can ask Bill about this.
The Seeds.
Yeah, and the Seeds pushing too hard,
Pushing too hard.
So their band, I don't know what happened. They quit or whatever. So Schultz got me and Bill Horton, and we backed up Sky Saxon at the Fun House.
He was a dick.
He was a nut.
We played with him and when I was in high school, and our band was pretty good. Anyway, he wanted to beat me up because we got an encore opening for him, and he didn't, and he was just all pissed.
Yeah, he was a dick. Okay, now that's it.
As when we first started playing in bars, we played at dances and stuff, but nobody would have us play in their club. Like Campus Pizza was the first place, and somebody got sick. One of the other bands got sick on Tuesday, and they couldn't find anybody, so they had us. And they, can you guys play? So we played, and broke the bar record. So then all of a sudden they didn't care that we were scruffy, and that happened to us at 2 different versions of the Shire Road pub. They wouldn't let us play. Well, you're not quite the crowd we're looking for.
It's Shire Road?
Yeah, well, there was 2 Shire Roads. There was a smaller one that was in Fair Oaks.
I did not
Burned
know that.
down.
Yeah, it burned down. Yeah, it burned down.
One, yeah.
It burned down the week after we played
We
there.
actually did a shoot there with the remains of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did it a couple years ago, or a year ago.
And
Last year.
so they wouldn't let us play at that one, and then same thing happened, and we played there and broke the bar record. And then the new Shire Road pub on Auburn Boulevard, which was pretty snazzy, once again they wouldn't let us play there because we wore Levi's on stage. And
What year was this?
I don't know, 76.
Well,
77?
76 was when I came off the road, and that's when he started playing at the Shire Road pub, I
I
think.
thought everybody wore Levi's in '76.
No,
And-
there was this
Matching outfits.
in Auburn. There was this one stretch of Auburn Boulevard. There was the Embers. Remember the
Remember the time we played at the Embers, and I had you play the bass, I think, and the guy that owned it had his wife in there, and she said something to you, and you said the F word.
Yeah.
And then he got mad. He was going to beat you up, and you said, "Well, go ahead," or whatever. Anyway, we got fired.
I remember that.
Yeah, Larry did it.
So this 1 mile space on Auburn Boulevard was the Embers.
The Twilight Zone.
There was, I'm thinking Nashville West,
Yeah. The Showcase.
Showcase Lounge, yeah.
All those places
Yeah,
were all right there.
All these, so that was like Bar Central. And then what year was it that they changed the rules of alcohol? It went from 0.1% as legal limit to 0.08.
And then everybody started getting DUIs.
Yeah, and nobody, I remember that week it was like nobody there. And the place had always been, really well attended. And right around the corner from the Shire Road pub was a CHP station on Garfield. And so for 1 year, 1 whole year, that 1 mile stretch of Auburn Boulevard was the highest percentage DUI arrests in the United States. So that had a tendency to put a kibosh on people going out and watching bands.
Who was that guy that used to book you before Glenn Hagley? And he died. He
Yeah,
was a nice guy.
yeah, he had us. God, 30 gigs in 30 days.
Yep.
As far away as north of Chico.
Yep.
What was his name?
I can't remember. But he
Yeah,
was a nice guy. And then Glenn Hagley. Now, how did he get to be your manager?
that guy, whatever his name was, sold it to Glenn Hagley.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Cherry Talent
Yeah,
was the name of the other
yeah,
guys.
that's right.
Yeah.
Glenn Hagley came into Encore not too long ago,
Yeah.
and he said, "Hey, remember me?" And he's bald.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he's
and-
pretty interesting cat.
And I said, "No." And then he spoke some more, and I said, "Oh, I know that voice." I recognized his voice. Just another one of the.
Him and John Webb were diagonal, whatever you call it, opposed to each other.
Oh yeah, John Webb was the manager
Shire
at
Road
Shire Road
Pub.
Pub, and he's the one
Booker.
twice who said, "Well, you guys can't play here." And then when they had their, I mean, they hated us so much when they had their 10-year anniversary, they wanted us to play, so we did.
Love hate.
They brought out a silver tray with shots of Jack Daniels on it.
So do you remember I think it was your 10-year anniversary, and
Randy Rooney.
Andy Rooney,
Yeah.
they had on white tuxes, and my bass player, who was Skip's buyer, but he came out and smeared them all up with cake.
Oh yeah, we had a cake.
And
We
you
had
rented those tuxes, right?
Yeah, we had white
If only there
tuxedos.
had been cell phone cameras back then.
Yeah.
Well, I have a photo of it. It's up in my on my photo wall of us in our white
Your Hall of
tuxes.
Fame, your Wall of Fame.
Somebody's got chocolate cake all over him.
Do you know there's a rumor that there's a picture of you playing nude at the Oasis?
I've heard that story. I have heard that story
We
before.
have the picture.
I've
we
never
don't
seen
know
it,
who
but
has
I remember the night. Were you married at that time?
No, I was engaged. They would get pissed at us because it was so fucking hot. It was one of those summer days when it was like 105 degrees outside, and we wore cutoffs, and they jokingly gave us a load of crap about it. And so we were coming out for our second encore on a Saturday night, and I'm the last one out of the dressing room, which at Oasis, it feeds onto the back of the stage. And the bouncers all run in and pantsed me. And so I said, well, what the fuck? So I just lowered my guitar and just went out there and played naked. The girl that
The original Red Hot Chili Pepper.
the girl that I was eventually married was playing right in front, dancing right in front, and Marie, and all of a sudden I did my solo like this, and she turned around, and she was looking right at my crotch. And the next day, I swear to God, the next day she moved to San Diego.
And you never married that girl.
No, I
You
did.
did, married her. Yep.
After about a year of
Apologies.
heavy duty phone bills.
How long was it?
A year?
The chipmunk's thumb, you mean?
Messing with you.
That's how I.
It's true though. No.
You were playing a
When
ukulele, right?
When I got together with my wife, who just passed away, we were at that reunion, and I said, "Hey, you want to go outside and meet the Big Dipper? Are you into astronomy?" And towards the end of our marriage, she called me. She kept calling me Ursa Minor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Girl of your dreams.
Now, a few years back, Larry, we were talking about Rutabaga. You guys did a reunion show at Thunder Valley.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? How that got started? Because that was a big thing, and it was really cool. There was a lot of people there.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool gig. Over the years, we stopped playing with any seriosity in the middle of the 90s. But, we were all friends and we kept up that way. But every once in a while, somebody would come up with a stupid amount of money and say, hey, let's have why don't you guys play a reunion gig? So we would, get together. Like the last time we played at Harlow's, we rehearsed for 3 months to play 90 minutes because everything we had was all worked out and, lots of harmonies and guitar harmonies and stuff. And we didn't want to go out there and be shitty. So, yeah. So at one of the things, Steve LaRosa, Steve LaRosa is a good buddy.
He's a really good friend of mine too.
Yeah. We called him our flack. He was our publicity flack. And somehow, I think he had something to do with it because all of a sudden they came to us and asked if we'd have a reunion there. And it was really cool, you know, that Plano Hall. It was just like packed, and they had it set up like a bar, like a rock and roll bar. You know, there was round tables with people sitting around them, and there was 2 bars. Or was it 3? It was us. Could have been 3.
2 wasn't gonna suffice.
Yeah. And so it was a really cool gig, you know. And of course, when you only have to play for 90 minutes, you can really throw together a killer set. So we did. All right.
Well, all right. Now, obviously, you guys have remained friends all this time. What
Me and Gene? Yeah.
What would you say is not only your musical interests and history, but what else would you say that has kept you guys friends for such a long time?
I would say mutual respect for Dick Rossi, probably.
Yeah.
And we both, neither one of us, I don't think we really approached it like a lot of people do in music. You know, like he said, they just wanted to play. I always just wanted to play.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever wanted to do is play, and I still play. So I think that we didn't get involved in a lot of that egocentric stuff much.
Yeah. Think of all the bands that moved to LA to get famous, not including you, that eventually broke up.
We moved to LA because they didn't want us in Sacramento anymore.
Ah!
I mean, all these really good bands had moved to LA and trying to make it, and then they'd break up, you know. So we stayed around. Gene still plays all the time.
So we stayed in touch with Dick Rossi all the way up till he died.
That's right.
Yeah, we'd go up and see him in Reno and you'd have lunch with him and all that stuff. I do have pictures of that I'll get. Yeah, he was such a wonderful guy, wasn't
Yeah, he taught me how to be
he? Nice person.
a man.
I got to say one more little story about the Rutabaga Boogie Band. I had a little talent agency, and so I get a call one of these times from Sacramento High School. Hey, Bo, what's up? He said, we want that Rutabaga Boogie Band, you know. And I'm going, oh, wow. I said, well, you know, they're really expensive, and we don't care. And so I got them $2,500, and this is back in the day when bands were playing for $300, but $2,500. And then I heard, you know, later, and I never ever asked you, but how was that gig?
If I'm thinking correctly,
It was all black.
yeah, we were the only. I think the only white kid that went to that school was the girl who was in charge of the dance committee, because it was like that scene in Animal House when they walk in to see Otis Day and the Knights. Hey, Otis, it's us, and they went. And so
It just
we
stops.
you know, and they never. It was in the cafeteria, and they left the lights on. You know, it wasn't. It was just not a.
So it was a
fun gig.
nothing burger.
Well, I mean, we were absolutely, completely the wrong band to play.
But they liked you.
Well, I don't know, you know, if you can call this liking us.
Well, everybody did that.
So anyway,
So one time I was back, there was a guy named Sterling Bennell. He was
yeah,
a
Sterling.
genius. I think he probably, you know, could have invented.
he invented
many-
the harmonizer.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And drum machines and all kinds of stuff. He'd have Tony Day make these, you know, beats, and he'd put them in his drum machines and all
Yeah.
that. But one time we were in the back. He was the repairman for the Vox Room, and we were in the back. And Dick had this guy that from Korg. Korg was the distributor for Marshall amps and all of that, and
Pete
Roto
Markovich.
Sound Strings, huh?
Pete Markovich.
Yeah, and so I'm back in there smoking pot with Sterling. Dick, bang, 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 knocks on the door. And I come out and close the door, and I got a big hit in my mouth. And I walk all the way through the store, and here's Dick in this big rep. And I go all the way out into the front of the store, and I go, and I turn back around. I say, hi, Dick. Dick says, yeah, Dick knew what was going on. But he says, oh, yeah, Gene, I want to introduce you to, we're going to get Marshall amps and all that. Yeah.
One time, the day after Lennon was assassinated, Bill Horton and I and Steve Grace, we were standing in the parking lot, and we were, rightfully bummed, and we were just moping around. And Dick Rossi walks out, and he goes, "What's wrong with you guys?" And we said, somebody that we really liked and respected was murdered last night, and John Lennon, and he goes, "Well, I never liked him. I never had any respect for him because he let that woman take care of his money and everything, and we're all agog, the Vox room is because of the Beatles." Yeah. So anyway, he gets in he had this big white Lincoln Continental.
New one every 2 years.
And he gets in his Lincoln Continental, and right after saying that, he backs out.
Crash.
Right into a guy's brand new Mercedes. and that was
That's Lennon.
I
Lyndon write a song called "Instant Karma's Gonna Get You."
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
that didn't lift our moods, but looking back on it.
I'm Gene Thorpe,
I'm Larry Gosch, and you're not.
the 80s Sacramento music scene.
We were there.
Where were you?